All right, so we're in 2025. You've heard enough. You want to get into commercial wholesaling, commercial real estate, whether as a broker, agent, seller, you name it. We're going to dive deep into if you were to start from scratch and needed to learn the basics to get yourself going. What do you need? Like what's step one, two, three? So I'm gonna go through specifically 5 steps of what is required to at least get you going. And hope you guys find this helpful. And for those who don't know, my name is Gladia. I am an entrepreneur and a product leader. And I've been in real estate now for 4 years. Started off in residential wholesaling and have transitioned into commercial over the last 6 months, and then really taking it to the next level over the last 3 in lead source, uh, lead generation, cold calling owners. A lot of my content you've seen, but it wasn't always like that. 2024 has definitely been a challenging, a transitional year, I should say. And what kind of led me to where I'm at now. So if this resonates with you, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, post videos, 2 or 3 videos every week. So here for you guys. And if you stick around, I will also share an actual resource package with cold call script and perhaps a contract too that can be used for wholesaling, and whether it's residential or commercial. But I always say I'm not an attorney or anything of that matter. So definitely consult with someone. So we're going to get it going. Now, I could go into the basics of commercial real estate wholesaling, but if you guys want to learn more, I did do a video probably 3 months ago, and I'm going to link it up here. So definitely check that out. But we're going to get it going because I could go into the nitty gritty of what commercial wholesaling is, but in general, let's just say you don't know what wholesaling is, but a lot of us experience wholesaling in different industries, like milk, for example, or any produce. You wholesale Costco, things of that matter. So in real estate, whether it's residential or commercial, you get a property at a certain price that someone else is willing to buy it higher. So for example, I speak to an owner, I get it under contract at a specific price, and I basically sell that contract to another investor, buyer for a higher price, and then I collect the difference. I am assigning my rights to another investor. Now, at this point, I feel like wholesaling has become a known sort of a term, a key term, and everyone knows all the ins and outs, but people don't know the details. They just know the high level and it's too good to be true, or this is easy. And, if you really want to build a business out of it, you definitely need to take it a lot more seriously, treat it like a business, not necessarily a hustle. Although this was like my side hustle for the longest time because I was working a full-time job, and I still am. So I'm documenting my journey of really taking the time, the extra time that I would use doing nothing, right? And building my business, my commercial real estate business. So all that, we're going to start into, is it even worth it? And if you're watching this video, you probably have found it's worth it, because I'm sure at some point you've seen somebody, you've heard about it, somebody closing commercial wholesale or just commercial deals, right? As even brokers make pretty big deals. We're talking definitely the lowest is in the millions, like 2 millions, 3 millions. That's a low commercial figure. I live in South Florida and I'm seeing deals 200 million. 50 million. Imagine a cut out of that, right? So it's definitely worth exploring with the money. But I always say, think about the direction you want to go. Don't just say, I want to do commercial wholesaling. Really think about, because there's different aspects. So it's really important to learn about where you want to market at, the opportunities that you have, whether you want to focus on industrial, warehouses, multifamily, and development. There's an umbrella of commercial, and then there's different tiers that you can focus on. So definitely focus on what your end goal is, what you want to focus on, and focus on one thing, one asset. This is the biggest lesson for me, in which why I narrowed down to industrial. And once you decide that, like, become the expert, learn as much as you can in your market. And I'm going to dig deeper into how to sort of connect with people. But the essentials, if you want to get into commercial wholesaling, this is wholesaling in general. I would say the first thing is data. Now, you can build a referral network where you contact brokers and you contact agents to send you deals. But once you reach commercial, it's all relationship based. So if people don't see that people can sniff newbies and they can sniff people that maybe, aren't necessarily in their network. So I would find ways to add value. And I always say, being direct to seller is always going to be the best approach because you have more control and more leverage in that case. And if you're not and you want to reach out to brokers to say, hey, I have some buyers, that's another way. But you can't just approach a broker or an experienced wholesaler and just say, hey, I want to do commercial wholesaling. Like, what value are you bringing then, right? So the best route, at least in my case, is to be direct to seller. So finding data is going to be the most important thing. And where can you find property and owner information, especially when majority of the owners for commercial are LLC owned, they're in the trust? I would use tools known as a CoStar. I think LoopNet is one. Crexi. Personally, I use Reonomy. And if you're interested, definitely let me know. I'm happy to post the links. But for many of those that are familiar with wholesaling and real estate, PropStream is a very popular I would say popular tool. It's more on the residential side. They do have commercial data, but I like Reonomy because it comes with numbers and it's just straight data. I'm not able to see listings and stuff like that. But for me, my focus is like, I want to just see who am I speaking with, so to speak. So data is your number one thing. You can't make calls. You can't get in contact with anyone if you don't even have addresses, right? So start with that. And then once you take that data, you're going to export it into a spreadsheet, a CSV document. If you're like balling on a budget, a spreadsheet, a Google sheet, is where you want to organize. And organization is going to be key. And if you don't have a CRM, there's definitely a ton of free CRMs. Podio, for example, is a very good CRM. I use a real estate specific CRM called REI Sift, and I've been using it for the last year, and it's really great. It has different tools where I can get in touch with owners. It has great integrations where I can click to call, I can text, I can send direct mail, and I can really analyze data. It just just the way it's set out. So I'll send a link there as well. But if you're starting on spreadsheet is going to be your best friend, but you want to make sure it's organized. So it's having the data that needs to be skip traced. That's another thing. And what's skip tracing? It's where you're taking some of these information and you're gathering the phone numbers of that contact. So that's always an extra price, which is why I like Reonomy because it comes with numbers. Now I am paying an extra premium for it, and I think it's worth it than having to export, import, and do all that stuff. So being able to label the phone numbers, label who you spoke with, label who's a lead, label who's a follow-up. Now that's a lot more in detail. That can be a separate video. I want to keep this high level in terms of how they get started. So you have your data, you have your spreadsheet all ready to go. How are you going to get in touch with these people? More than likely a phone, right? So cold calling basics is you can just use a telephone, right? Like you can literally manually enter the phone numbers and call. You can also use, there's a ton of, I don't know if there's free. There are some free. I think Open Phone is free, where it's like a desktop number where it's like a click to call. You add it as a Google extension, and then any number that shows up, it pops up. You can like click on it and you can call. There's a bunch of other ones I haven't used in a while, but your handy dandy phone. Now, I don't recommend using your personal phone. Again, you can download apps. Google phone is always going to be great too. Google Voice is always going to be a great option. So I would download Google Voice on my desktop and on here and actually call from there. I would never call from your personal number. You don't want to put yourself out there. So having a phone. Now, if you have some money to invest, definitely get a dialer, Mojo dialer, batch dialer. I know call tools, there's so many out there. Just, you can be a single line dialer, multi-line, whatever it is. But with multi-line, you're going to need a lot of data because it's going to go through the data pretty quickly. And then the next thing you'll probably need, right? So say you've gone in touch with someone, they say, yeah, I want to sell, what's next, right? And that's where you really have to understand the market. Like what's, especially in your asset, like is it multifamily, like what's the price per unit in your market, price per door, what's the price per square foot, like what's the cap rate going on. So these are much more technical terms. And so yeah, definitely refer back to that other video that I did. I think I went into the more specifics of it, but you're going to need a contract. And so this is why I said definitely consult with an attorney. I can definitely provide one, but again, I'm not an attorney. But if you're going to straight wholesale, you're going to need a purchase agreement and then an assignment agreement. You're taking, you and the owner agree on a price. You're going to send the owner the purchase agreement, and then you're going to say you both sign, and you're going, if you're able to find a buyer, you then assign the purchase agreement and send the buyer an assignment agreement. And once you have that, and you can send it by email. Some people use DocuSign. I think you have a free version in DocuSign that you can send, which I always recommend. It makes it a lot easier, makes you look professional. But the next step, this is all if you're doing it on your own, mind you. This isn't, if you're partnering up with someone. I always recommend partnering up, say, with another wholesaler or another investor, especially if you're like, hey, I'll find you a deal. Let's JV on it. You then maybe want a JV agreement. And JVing is just partnering with someone for a deal, so 50-50. But you'd want to find a title company or an attorney company, or attorney escrow company that's depending on what market or state. Some states are attorney, some states are title, some are both. So you just want to make sure they are wholesale friendly. They understand, because they can kill your deal if they don't understand wholesaling. So Facebook groups are always a great resource, especially if you're wanting to know who's wholesale friendly. Ask somebody like me. I, being here in Florida, I asked some people, just say like, hey, what's a wholesale friendly title company or attorney that I can reach out to? So that's always a great way to do that. And there's so many ins and outs with that. But I think ultimately that your knowledge and understanding the basics of real estate is going to be key. And the more and more that you continue to study the game, right? Study the market, understand what's going on, understand the lingo, the better position that you're in. And really, to get that first deal is researching a property and market, making cold calls to property owners, negotiating and getting the property under contract, and then assigning that contract to an investor for a fee. Again, it's a numbers game. So if you're just getting started, maybe your goal is 100 dials per day. You have to set a goal. And this is something I also mentioned in another video for like New Year's goals and stuff like that. Set a goal, say, hey, I want to close one deal in a year. And it's very realistic for commercial, averaging out like maybe six figures, like a six-figure deal, you're good, right? But you want to keep going, right? We want to treat this like a business. So those are the kind of things that you want to set. And to close, I think the biggest thing is just taking action. Don't overthink things. It's easy for you to take apart my video and be like, okay, but what do I do next? Start with one thing. So the first thing is gathering data. Find where you can get data. Now, another thing I did not mention as far as data where you can get for free is PropWire. And I think they only have multifamily, I want to say, multifamily data. They may have some other commercial, but it's very vague. If you want to invest in yourself and invest in your future self, you have to dedicate, just know what your budget is. Is it 200, 300, and then reverse engineer from there, or just be like, hey, I'll go half. You're paying for Reonomy, I'll pay you half so I can use it, kind of thing. Whatever it takes, right? But the first thing is getting in touch with owners. Just make that first call. Like follow a script or whatever it is. Maybe your thing is door knocking, right? Like getting in touch with the owners. Now it's a little bit different for specific assets like multifamily. A lot of times, you can show up, but the property manager's there. They may not want to be as open. For me, with industrial, it's a little bit interesting because there's a lot of owner occupied investors or owners who are running their business out of their building. So it's a whole different conversation. But whatever it is, just figure it out. But don't stop overthinking. No analysis paralysis here in 2025. Just decide what you want to do. And once you get started, like just keep going. Like any win is a win. If you get cussed out, great. I got cussed out. If you got told like I'm not interested, great. If you get told like the more rejections, the better. That means they're leading to a yes. Success for me is the consistent efforts. And that's one thing that it took a while to really get ingrained because I'm such a perfectionist. I want things to go, very certain specific way. So if you found this helpful, like, subscribe, please comment, ask more questions. If you're stuck in the process, which you shouldn't be, get data, make calls. But if you have any questions, definitely drop them down below. And one other thing too is I am also doing a charity event in April in Culebra, Puerto Rico. And I'd love for you guys to assist, helping hopefully as many youth kids, hopefully over 100, get basic needs that are just not met there, as well as the families like school supplies, those wheelie trees, stuff like that, that is just not as accessible, given all the I was going to say twisters, given all of the even tornadoes, hurricanes that have passed, especially the most recent one a couple years back. So I'll drop the link down below. Definitely check that out. That's one of my personal impactful goals, is to give back. But I'm going to end with this. This time next year, you have to ask yourself, where do I want to be at around this time next year? Do you want to be closing deals and seeing those checks come in, or you want to be in the same place? And once I asked myself that, I was like, hell no. I want to be sitting pretty. I want to be this and that, but I have to put in the work. I have to delay the gratification for later. So let's make it all happen. We got this. Don't forget to invest in yourself. Catch you guys later.